Have you ever imagined living in a small town in France? Because I have, and I also got to experience it. So, how is it?
Welcome to l'Armor-Plage.
A city, a town, well, a commune. A commune in the Morbihan department of Brittany in northwest France. It has around 8,000 people living there, and I think the main attraction of this place is the beach.
It's so freaking beautiful. Look at this. Gorgeous.
How did I get here? Well, I have a distant relative that lives on the west side of France. They host it as an Airbnb, so they have a lot of spare rooms left, and they had one for me as well. Good morning, and welcome to my humble little bedroom. And by that I mean big ass freaking bedroom. I'm trying to be a little quiet because this house is not very well isolated. And in the morning and at night I need to be very cautious of how I step so that other people don't hear me stepping on their heads. So what does this place have to offer? Classified as a seaside resort, the town is famous for its sandy beaches, beach-related sports, and they also have an old marine base that was turned into a museum and that also has this funky-looking octopus.
Well, was not so lucky with the weather here. I think it's starting to rain right now.
Not only was the weather kind of weird, but I also work remotely full-time, and I only took a couple of days off. So then, what did I do throughout the week? And should you visit this place? Here, most of my days I spent collecting steps, exploring the area, and taking long walks along the beach. So I feel like I got to know the area quite well.
This picnic table has its own Google Maps pin. So I guess I had to check it out. I mean, it's a table and you can have a picnic on it. It's a bit rusty and it has a lot of holes, but I guess it works. The location is kind of cute. Should you visit this table? Not really. I mean, there's only one table and you don't even know if it's occupied or not.
The town, of course, has a city center. It's small, but it's there. There's not much to see. There's a Notre Dame and there's some small grocery stores and plenty of restaurants. I feel like off-season, most of the time, the city feels a bit empty. Unless it's the Sunday market. This is where you can find everybody and their dog on Sunday. But I feel like as an outsider, there's not much to see and not much to look at. I mean, the beach is gorgeous. But for example, the architecture is just okay. Nothing too grandiose or memorable, but that's where insider knowledge comes in. My relatives have been living here for many years. And they know so many things that I could never even have looked up online. They were there when certain bridges were built. They know that the houses might look boring, but it is because you're not allowed to destroy them or paint them because of the law. They know that the town is trying to reduce the parking spaces for these trailers because they don't really bring money to the city. And they know that this region has one of the biggest Celtic festivals, which would explain why you see a lot of Irish flags in certain places. And so I would say it depends on what you're looking for when you go traveling or on vacation. Because whether in season or off season, the beach, pretty or pretty beautiful. But the rest depends on the time of year you're here. But then, is there a bigger city nearby? And how fun is it? To truly explore this region to the best of your abilities, you do need a car, because public transport is there, but not always. With a car, you can explore many places nearby. For example, Lorient, another small town or commune, but this one has over 50,000 inhabitants, so it's a little bit bigger. Here you can find a lot of classic stores that you can find all over the world. And many more boats. The town was named Lorient in reference to the eastern countries with which it traded. Back in the 17th century, this town was very vital for trading. That's why the name Lorient is in reference to the eastern countries with which it traded. However, during the Second World War, the city suffered quite a lot of damage. And so you can see how the buildings are quite modern, but maybe bland and boring. And you can especially tell by this church. It doesn't look like your classic old European church. It's very simple and grey. But are there more exciting cities around? If you want to visit a city that hasn't lost its past charm, a 50-minute drive away from Lorient, you can find Vannes, or Vannes, I'm not too sure how to pronounce it. This is the capital of Montbrie department, or département. To be honest, it was very much giving Alsace vibes. It had a lot of cute boutiques and old roads, but mainly it's the half-timbered houses, or timber-framed houses, or Tudor houses. Not only did it have an old-timey cathedral that looked beautiful on the outside and the inside, but it also had a market since it was a Sunday, I think. There were many people looking at things, buying things, and there's also a small permanent market that's, I think, is probably open every day. I didn't check. And
This place also has many boats, as you can see.
And one of the first images you'll see when Googling this town are these houses and a chateau. I'm not too sure how to call this. It looks like a fortress of some sort. But if you're here for more to get away from people, then for you there's abundance of nature to explore. To be honest, for me, I was the most fascinated by this grass, or this grass. Somehow it kind of reminded me of a Studio Ghibli movie. Just the colors and the voluminousness of the bushes. I don't know how to say it exactly, but maybe you know what I mean. We cannot talk about France without mentioning the food, because the food, somehow they just know how to do it. Firstly, I ate way too many pastries for my own good. Starting from the classics, like a chocolate croissant or pain au chocolat.
It's great, it's wonderful.
They know what they're doing. Two more regional pastries like Queen Amand, a laminated dough pastry.
It's very nice and sweet, but not too sweet. Very nice and buttery and sugary and crunchy, but in a good way.
And also this chocolate chip cookie with salted regional caramel on top.
This is so lovely. I really like it. The caramel is so roasted and it fits so perfectly here.
Besides the pastries, I had an artichoke for the first time in my life. It was different than I expected, but I'm not sure if it's in a good way or a bad way. Then also for the first time I had large prawns or small lobsters. I don't know how you call it in English. I don't like shrimp, so I didn't fully like this either. But in this region you can buy them for pretty cheap, so that's good for you if you like them. Last, but certainly not least, was my favorite thing that I had here, which was the galette. I think it's one of the best ways to consume cheese, ham and egg at the same time. It was so good that I had it 3 times when I was there. Overall, I think French people really value their food and food quality, and you can really feel that when you're there. My favorite thing to do here is just to sit here, enjoy the little peaceful sea noises, and journal in my little journal about my thoughts and feelings. This might have not been the most exciting adventure I had in my entire life. Even if you're in France, if you live in a small town, there's not that much to do. Most of the time. I think the beauty living here is getting to know all the people that also live here and taking part in events and the community. I really enjoyed exploring the towns nearby, but I also really enjoyed taking it slow and noticing the small things. Like this dog carrying a rock in his mouth, or appreciating the creativity of the house numbers around the neighborhood. Plus there was also some drama on my balcony because a nest was formed, and then there was an egg, and then someone broke the egg. And it wasn't one of us, it was another bird, and unfortunately we'll never know what happened. I know this is not just a small town in France, but it is a small town in France next to the sea. And even though I don't like beaches, I do like looking at them. Especially the sunsets were quite lovely.